Welcome to a world where particles, vibrations, and light collide, a place where leading industry experts and healers come together to discuss controversial topics that will challenge your beliefs and expand your mind. From quantum physics to metaphysics, no topic is off limits, but this is not your typical podcast.
I'd like to know if you could give us some pointers on dealing with the triggers.
Well, remember, you can't get triggered unless you have a belief that you can be triggered, right? The triggers happen when we feel like we have no control. The triggers happen when we feel like we're a victim. The triggers happen when we feel like somebody's in our space, right? Those are all triggers. And so if you understand, if you're able to stay in the space of, it's an interesting thought you've got.
It's a show guaranteed to make you question your assumptions and push you to expand your horizons. For those who are already fascinated or passionate about the work of Patti Conklin, this show will give you an inside look into the mind of one of the industry's most renowned figures in vibrational mediation. With over 28 years of experience and a long list of big-name collaborations, Patti's insights and perspectives will inspire and challenge even the most seasoned practitioners. And if you're the skeptic who doesn't believe in vibrational mediation, this show is for you. Healers, doctors, and scientists are just a few of the professions represented by our fascinating visitors that bring their unique perspective to every episode. Join us on this journey into the world of healing within and adventure inside. Our mission is to inspire, challenge, and enlighten our audience with thought-provoking conversations and fascinating guests from a wide range of fields who can shed new light on important issues facing society today. Join us for each episode if you're ready to explore and learn about the latest developments at the intersection of cutting-edge science, spirituality, and self-improvement. Enter a world where waves, particles, and light all meet. Enter the world of healing within and adventure inside.
Thank you so much, Dean, for being a part of today's show.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for inviting me.
And I just, you've got a new book out, The Dharma Bums, which came out in March of 2022. Is that right? Guide to Western Literature.
Yeah, right. It's the Dharma Bums Guide to Western Literature. We have to say the whole title because the Dharma Bums, of course, was a novel by Jack Kerouac.
Was it really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes,
okay.
and in fact, on the first page of my book, I tip my hat to Jack and thank him for the first three words of my title.
Beautiful, beautiful. Makes sense. Makes sense. So tell us about Dean. How did you get from A to B? How did you get here?
Geez, have I reached B already? At
No,
last.
we still have C, D, E coming on.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, I don't know. Once upon a time, there was a nice little boy named Dean, and two things happened in his childhood that are important in this discussion. One is that I started to have some kind of spontaneous opening experiences. In fact, the book begins with the story of one very dramatic experience that happened to me when I was 11 or 12. My mind at the time tended to do a lot of churning, the way I've since learned that most people's minds do that, but I started early and said, what about this? What about that? Just kind of free-floating anxiety and a bunch of thoughts kind of being powered by that.
right.
And that evening, we were going to go to a drive-in movie. This was a long time ago, right? So my mom sends me out to the garage to clear out the back seat of the Nash Rambler station wagon.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To clear away all the comic books and toys that my two brothers and I had left there so we could sit there for the movie. And I'm doing that, and my mind's going, and the next thing that I pick up is a Mad magazine. And on the cover, as always, is a picture of Mad's idiot mascot, Alfred E. Newman.
That's right.
And his motto, what? Me worry? And all of a sudden, my mind went,
Wow.
just stopped. And what I realized was this going on here is called worry. And the good news is I've been doing it. It's not being done to me, right? That engine is constantly revving because, oh, it's my foot on the gas pedal. Having recognized that, it says, oh, I can take my foot off that pedal. And my mind went deeply, deliciously, boundlessly silent.
Wow.
And it went into what, a few years later when I started reading Eastern texts, I said, oh, this is what's called satori or samadhi or grace. So that got my attention. And then the other thing that was started early in childhood was that I was very fascinated with language. Just puns and paradoxes and palindromes and all of this, and I was always very good at reading and writing. Pretty much the only thing still that I'm any good at. And I had a wonderful English teacher in high school, John Fresius at Van Nuys High School, who showed me that words could just open into these depths. These boundless depths, and introduced me to just how to deeply appreciate Shakespeare and Keats and all these great writers.
Yeah.
And so eventually I became an English teacher myself. But meanwhile, I was also a meditation teacher. So every fall I would come back, and once again, for 33 years, I teach Huckleberry Finn, The Great Gatsby, the poet Emily Dickinson, Walt Whitman. And then meanwhile, I'd be meditating, teaching meditation, going off on meditation retreats in the summer. So those things started to cross-fertilize. And I started to realize that, wait a minute, when Huck Finn runs away from his horrible, alcoholic, brutal, murderous father in the middle of the night and jumps into a salvaged canoe and frantically rows into the middle of the river, and finally he's safe. And he puts the oars down, and he just lets the boat drift. And
Wow.
he lies back on his back in the bottom of the canoe, has a little smoke from his pipe, because boys in the 1830s in the Midwest all smoked pipes.
That's right. That's right.
Right? And he has a little smoke from his pipe, and he looks up into the moonlight, and he says, the sky was clear, not a cloud in it. And he says, the sky is ever so deep when you lay on your back in the moonshine. I never knowed it before. And I went, oh, that's the baptism. That's the initiation into the transcendent. That's the same experience that I had in the garage when I was 11 years old, the opening to the boundless. And so I started seeing that kind of thing in Macbeth and in The Great Gatsby and in the poetry of William Blake and the novels of Virginia Woolf. So over years, I kept seeing these things, and finally said, well, I better put these in a book. So here it is.
There it is. Wow. I mean, you have, in addition, like you said, being an English teacher, meditation has been big in your life, in teaching. Why is meditation important for people? I know that sounds like a basic question, but why?
It's a great question. Because otherwise, life is just one thing after another, one thing after another. And I'm using thing in the broadest terms. Phenomena that we experience. You know that Muppet song, Phenomena, do 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 do, Phenomena, do 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 do. I mean, obviously things are different. There's one experience. Okay, now I'm eating a bowl of ice cream. Now I'm driving to work. Now I'm right. So in a sense, all those things are different. All those phenomena are different. They have different qualities. They have different. They're conditioned on other causes that have to be in place for them to happen. My car has to have gas in it for me to drive it.
Right.
Actually, in my case, I'll be riding my Vespa, not driving a car. Uh, and I live in Santa Monica now, and I get everywhere on my Vespa.
And you get to do that. That's right.
Yes, I get to
Right.
do that. That's
Yes.
right. So, and so we go through our life among the things, our life among the phenomena, which is fine, which is great. But in the process of doing that, there's something inside us that is that can't be satisfied by things.
Yeah.
Even the most profound things, even reading the most profound book, even having the most glorious fireworks display, whatever it is, it's still phenomena. Therefore, it still has specificity. It has edges, and there's something inside us that says, but something else, something else. All the phenomena which take place along the axis of time, the x-axis of time and the y-axis of space. There's something in us that knows there's something bigger beyond time and space, or more accurately, before time and space, prior to time and space. That I'm trying to fill up this infinite craving with things that are finite.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
the only thing, because, and it's because our awareness, it's as if our awareness is an infinitely big mirror, and we keep reflecting all these pretty things, actually some ugly things, some horrible things, and a lot of very pretty things and very big things. Really, that fireworks display didn't do it for you. How about this one? Right? This
Right.
orgasm didn't do it for you. How about this? How about multiple orgasms all week or something, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
and at the end of that, it'll be okay. And now what?
And now
Right?
what? Yeah.
The only thing that can fulfill the infinite is the infinite. The mirror has to turn back on itself, reflect within itself, and go, "Oh, I was right here all along."
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now
And
there's all these. Let me say quickly. There's all these more mundane reasons why meditation is good, right? It helps normalize your blood pressure, and a lot of people. All this talk about the infinite. I don't know about that, but my brother-in-law took a meditation course at the Y. His blood pressure came down. My sister is sleeping better. My uncle's digestion is better. If that's all you're interested in, fine, God bless. You can do it for those reasons, and the enlightenment part that'll come along also.
that'll come at some point. At some
Yes.
point. Um, do you find in today's world that people are more that there's an increase in fearfulness in going into meditation to find the infinite
Well, there's an increase in fearfulness in life.
in life? Yeah.
I mean, people are all too acutely aware of impending, not even impending climate crisis. I mean, climate crisis happening before our eyes, and
It's here.
political chaos, and there's a lot of stuff that a reasonable person can be afraid of. Meditation, I think people are less afraid of. I've been teaching this stuff since 1970, and when I started then, I always had to, every public talk that I gave, I would start with some jokes about, well, there's no crystal balls or beds of nails or flying carpets. Were dumb jokes, but you had to make the jokes to disarm people's presumption at that time that this is some Eastern hippie Hindu cult stuff or something.
Yes.
Now everyone knows someone who meditates and has had, and Oprah meditates and so forth. It's maybe the one thing that people are less afraid of.
I just question how deeply people go in their meditation. It makes me curious, not in a bad way, but
Mm-hmm.
makes me curious in terms of how deep are they going, or is there for the yeah, I don't take time to meditate each
Mm-hmm.
day. I
Mm-hmm.
feel and hope
Mm-hmm.
that my life is a series of meditation. I live on a beautiful lake you can see behind me, and I'll sit and just reflect. I don't know that that's considered meditation in the true sense of the word, but I'll sit and just watch the waves and just clear my mind and just have some time with me, and that alone time. But I wonder, in the course of meditation, are we seeing as much meditation going in the Western world as in prior years in the Eastern world? I mean, are Eastern Western really coming together in that?
Well, it's hard or it's impossible to put it in numbers. How many
Yeah.
people, in the East, and we tend to associate meditation with the East, which makes some sense historically. But mostly in the East, most people did not meditate. It was people in the monasteries who did. And it was pretty much considered the situation that if you wanted to be serious about a life of awakening, you couldn't have family and career and so forth. There are some exceptions to that. There are some places and some aspects of some cultures where it was understood that you could integrate the life of awakening with day-to-day life. In the West, where we're not set up for monastic life, most of us. I've known a bunch of people who thought they were set for monastic life, and it did not end well. But there's so here in the West, mostly we've approached it in terms of, okay, you meditate, you get up in the morning, and your question about do people go as deep? That's kind of a technical question. It depends on what they're doing. There's a lot of different things that people do when they sit and close their eyes. A lot of people, because this is what they've understood, or what they've gotten from books or from teachers, what they've heard or what they've misheard, are sitting there trying. And I hear this over and over. Well, oh, you teach meditation. Gee, I tried to meditate, but it was hard. Now, I tried to meditate is a contradiction in terms.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because any effort to create a non-agitated state of mind is itself a form of agitation. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you keep trying to flatten out all the waves on the surface of the lake, you just stir up more turbulence. And that's called trying to meditate. People sitting there trying to control their thoughts, trying to feel calm, trying to make their breathing settle down and so forth. It does not work. Or what happens is, the other thing you may hear for people who try to meditate, basically, and I know I'm generalizing, but pretty much
okay.
this is the deal.
Yeah.
You'll hear two things. One was why I tried, but it was too hard, so I stopped. And the other is, I try, but I've stuck it out, and it's really great. But you got to meditate for 2 hours a day, but it's really worth it. And then what's happening in that case is, after 2 hours of trying, finally the mind becomes exhausted, can't try anymore, and then it slips.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
my great fortune was, early on in my career, I realized I couldn't sit for hours at a time, and I found teachers who were not, new agey California teachers. They were teachers plugged into very authentic traditions, who showed, well, you can skip those first 2 hours. You can go straight to the 15 minutes of settling down by, if just allow me to pull this rug of effort out from under you.
Yes.
So that's what I've learned to do as an instructor. And by the way, these days I lead guided meditation usually 3 times a week on Zoom. It's free. It's open to everyone. Anyone who's interested, if they come to my website, deansluyter.com, and you'll put the spelling of that up?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because my name is hard to spell, so they can, wacky Dutch name, so they can find the information on my website, and also my YouTube channel. If they just go to YouTube, and I've got a lot of sessions archived there.
Right, where people can contact you. Yes, and
Yep.
we Dutch. I mean, I'm a Vandermark by birth, so
Oh, no
I
kidding.
I have that Dutch heritage as well. what was the first book that you wrote in
My
terms of your career?
I've had 6 books published. My first was called Why the Chicken Crossed the Road and Other Hidden Enlightenment Teachings.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and some of this a lot of it I think goes back to the fact that my first real clear awakening experience was triggered by Mad Magazine and Alfred E. Newman. That really inclined me to find it in unexpected places.
Wow.
Which I think has been very valuable to me, to be clear on the fact that okay, it's great we have these beautiful texts, these beautiful sacred texts of the East as well as the West. We have these wonderful teachers, these wonderful teachings, but no one's got a monopoly on it.
Right.
It's the infinite must be everywhere. Otherwise, it ain't the infinite. Right, and
Very
so
true.
I like to find it in the unexpected places. You know, there's a Zen story about a Roshi, a student, a Zen student who goes to his Roshi, his Zen master, and asks him. There's these sort of classic questions you're supposed to ask the Roshi, and he asks him one of the questions, which is, "What is the Buddha?" Right? Not who is the Buddha, what is the Buddha? And Buddha really means awakening. In other words, what's the deal? What is the infinite? Where is the infinite?
Right.
And the master could respond, "Oh, the Buddha is the baby's beautiful smile. The Buddha is the lovely sunset or the golden temple." All of those would be correct. Anything you say would be correct. So
Yeah.
what the Roshi, being a skilled teacher, says is, the Buddha is a pile of cow poop in the middle of the road. Right?
Oh, wow.
Because if you see it there, you'll see it everywhere.
See it everywhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So that was my first book, Why the Chicken Crossed the Road and Other Hidden Enlightenment Teachings. It's a little hard to find. That's my only book that's out of print, but sometimes you can find copies on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And in that one, I take jokes. I mean, like stupid jokes, like "Why did the chicken cross the road?" and nursery rhymes like "Ring around the rosy" and "Row row
Uh-huh.
row your boat, Mary had a little lamb." Pop song lyrics like "Hey hey we're the monkeys" and so forth, and show how the infinite, all the Enlightenment teachings, they're all there.
Right.
My second book is called the Zen Commandments, and this is my version of, okay, if we're going to boil down all the wisdom you need into 10 things, what would they be? So
Wow.
that's the Zen Commandments. My third book is Cinema Nirvana, Enlightenment Lessons from the Movies. And there I take movies, and again, going for the unexpected, the movies that I take on are Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Godfather, Jaws, and show how it's all there. Then I wrote a book. Actually, this is my most popular book. It's called Natural Meditation, A Guide to Effortless Meditative Practice. The next one is called Fear Less. It's interesting you asked about fear before, so I wrote a whole book about that. Fear
Yes.
Less, Living Beyond Fear, Anxiety, Anger, and Addiction. We could have gone on. We ran out of room on the cover, but, loneliness, guilt, yada, yada, yada.
Shame, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because they all come from the same place.
True.
And then this is the new one.
And then this is the new one.
Dharma
Wow,
Bum's
I love
Guide.
it. I love it. So what comes next? What are you looking forward to, or are there increases, changes? What comes next?
What comes next? Well, I continue to enjoy my life, tool around the streets of Santa Monica on my Vespa, play my ukulele, watch movies with my beloved wife,
Yeah.
Go east to visit my 5 grandbabies. And I'm starting to play with some ideas for the next book, but that's all. I've got about 4 different pots on the back burners, and I think, oh, I think this one's about to come to a boil. That'll be the next book, and I play with that, and I go, no, maybe it's this one here. So, it's in flux right now.
It's in flux, and it's infinite in terms of how many possibilities can come to the foreground.
Yeah. And it's finding the thing that I'm. There's a wonderful short video, a couple minutes long, that you can find online of David Bowie talking about creativity. And he says two things. One, he says, if you start like playing for the galleries, if you start trying to figure out what to play, what to write, that's going to be popular, you're dead. Yep. And then the other thing he says is, when you wade out into the water, into the ocean, and you get to the place where just barely your toes can just barely find the ground underneath you, but you just he says that's where interesting things can happen.
Wow. Wow.
So for me, what has to happen for me to write something interesting, and I really felt this happening just with every chapter of this book, is I have to be right on the edge of, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to write a chapter on Emily Dickinson. I know how to write a chapter on Frederick Douglass. And oh my God, there is no possible way I can do this. Right there with the toes just looking for the bottom. Okay.
Just looking for the bottom. Yeah.
And every time, by the way, every chapter of this, I was convinced, okay, this is where I hit the wall. This is where I've got to apologize to the publisher, send back the money, apologize for wasting everyone's time. And so that was really great, because it meant that really just about every chapter I had to kind of walk through the wall and find a place that was bigger than I thought I could get to.
Right. How intriguing. I mean, absolutely intriguing.
And fun.
Beautiful.
And fun.
So the Dharma Bun's Guide to Western Literature.
And the subtitle, Finding Nirvana in the Classics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Love it. I'm going to have to sit down and read it now, because it's piqued my interest.
Yeah, and I keep hearing from people, gee, this is really fun. And I say that in the introduction. I say, look, none of this is on the exam, right? If it ain't fun, what's the point?
What's the point? So true. So true. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being a guest today and sharing your wisdom, and we'll be looking forward to hearing more.
Great. Thank you so much, Patti.
Thank you.